Discover College Soccer podcast is sponsored by VIO. VIO is the #1 AI camera solution helping players capture college recruitment videos. Check out their new starter and family options by clicking on the link in the description or visit Discover College Soccer to learn more. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Damian Clarke from Fort Lewis College in Colorado. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So I guess we'll start on the recruiting side of things. You know,
Okay.
we're here talking early March. It's kind of the height of the showcase season. I'm down here in Bradenton where the GA Champions Cup is kicking off today. So
Right.
lots of female tournaments and things. So with that being said, where are you guys right now in terms of your recruiting calendar as a Division II? Are you still got a few 24s out there? Are you
Right.
still got more? Where does your normal calendar fall right now?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think a lot of times at this point, we're probably close to being done with the current class, beginning to really try and get after like the 25s and familiarize ourselves with 26s per se. Um, I think a lot of schools, or at least I can speak for ourselves, we still have 5 kids in the program that are sort of bottlenecked from the COVID scenario. So our numbers are really healthy. We have one kid who's transferring out, has another COVID year, but decided instead of going and hanging out one more year in Durango, she's gonna go to Hawaii. So I don't blame her. So realistically, we returned every single kid from last year, with the exception of her and 2 other players that transferred out for really academic reasons. Um, so at the moment, we have 5 kids coming in that are 4 freshmen and one junior college kid committed. We're still trying to get after one more player. And we're looking at a junior college kid that'll be here on Tuesday. And then pretty much on to, 25s, 26s, and would like to say that we're buttoned up for the most part.
Okay. Well, in terms of recruiting events, are there ones that you guys try to get out to, each year that are kind of your hotbeds?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for a long, long time, the President's Day tournament in Phoenix was where we had done a lot or had a lot of success with a whole bunch of Arizona teams. Now that has sort of the high school season has interrupted that tournament for us. So it's kind of like a lot of Vegas tournaments have been where we've been the last few years. Been out to Florida once, but try and stay for the most part pretty regional. So Albuquerque and Phoenix, and Denver are the areas that we focused on. But right now, we're not going to the Mayor's Cup or to the Players Showcase. I think we're sort of tapped out budget wise and waiting for the next cycle.
Well, shoot, because I'm headed to Vegas for players here,
Man,
soon. So
I
so now we got to wait longer to meet in person. All right.
I know. There's a chance, but it would be my assistant. I'm trying to get
Okay.
my assistant to go, but she hasn't given me a firm answer yet.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, besides events, it seems like ID camps are kind of all the rage these days.
Right.
So, do you guys do your own? Do you and your staff work others? How important are they to your recruiting
Yeah.
process?
I mean that I spent, the last I guess the last 2 events, and to be honest with you, that I went and worked. I went to Rush had a huge ID camp, and so did Real, and they sort of piggybacked on each other, a Saturday and a Sunday. So that worked for us to really get a good idea of the in-state kids that are still available for 25 as well as some 24s. And then went down to UNM and worked at the University of New Mexico. And that had, I don't know, about 120, 130 kids. So that's been able to kind of keep us in tune with what's going on regionally. And, yes, we'll have 2 ID camps, one at the beginning of the summer, one at the end. And then we run a big high school camp as well, where we'll have two or three high schools coming in. We'll train high schools, and they'll sort of play a little round robin tournament inside of that camp.
Okay, that sounds
Yeah.
interesting. Well, one of
Yeah.
the things you mentioned was junior college, um, and transfers. And the one thing I noticed about your roster, which is maybe a little bit odd for a Division two roster, is no international real flavor there. So in terms of what I call those kind of secondary recruiting markets, right? JUCO,
Right.
transfer,
Right.
and international. How do they kind of overall fit in each for you each year?
You know, for us, we've had some good JC kids over the years. To be honest with you, I prefer to have a kid if I can 4 years, 3 years if possible. If I can get a JC kid to come out, after their first year, I feel like for us it works best because we you can look at our roster and tell that we've got kids that are 18 to 21, 22. So we've tried to go usually the freshman route, but um, I don't spend a lot of time in the transfer portal, so I'm not the type of guy that, sits there and just waits to try and find the D1 kickback type of situation. Um, but we're we're messing with trying to get some foreign kids in. So I've spent a lot of time this year, which has probably taken me off the recruiting cycle of tournaments, trying to get some foreign kids. I think there's a chance that we can get some kids that are, mid-level D1 type of players in, but it's very difficult to get American kids at that level. I think it's a little bit over recruited and saturated at times because you're not going to win in the RMAC without kids that can play D1. You're just not.
Yeah, it definitely is a tough conference. So, in terms of you just overall via any of these recruiting avenues, kind of what
Right.
is it that makes up the hierarchy of things you're looking for in a player, both on the field and off the field attributes?
Yeah, I mean, on the field, we're a team that wants to play through the lines. So, of course, the ideal player is a kid that's technically capable of making decisions under pressure and wanting to draw pressure on the ball. Um, I was a really athletic player at one point in my life, so I lean towards kids that can, if they need to, solve problems with pace. Um, so I think a lot of our teams have probably been marked by, and as we're getting better, we were probably more athletic than we were good at football. I think when you look at our record now, you can tell a bunch of ties because we can keep the ball. And so we're getting to the point to where hopefully that combination of athletic kid that's also comfortable on the ball is beginning to be, what our roster is saturated with. Missing a goal scorer like every other, program that's, probably in this same boat. If you're not top 25, it's probably because you don't have a kid that scores 10 to 15 goals a season. So I think, for us, it is the combination of those two things ideally, but decision making is becoming, probably the biggest focus because I think athletically, the team has the base that it needs. Now we need some kids that are, pulling the strings in a little bit different way to get some of our athletes into better positions.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school. I'm sure there's some folks out there not familiar with Fort Lewis
Yeah,
and the and where it is and everything. I mean, I've looked at a map and seen Durango, and
yeah,
you have some unique perspective though, because you're an alum as well as a coach for
yeah,
many moons. So obviously, it's a special place to you. So give us some of the things that you find that are awesome about it. Maybe some things we wouldn't know by going through the website.
yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm super biased, but I mean, I mean, we can be isolated, which is part of the challenge. But most of the time, once we get kids on campus, it's usually a done deal. Um, we're on a mesa above, a beautiful little mining town that has a river running through it and a train. I mean, that bottom line is it's a tourist destination, and a lot of the kids that get here, sometimes it might just be because their parents have vacationed here at one point in their lives, and they're like, "Hey, we should look at that." Even if they never came up to the college, it's a town that's just gorgeous. So a lot of it is really the location. I mean, once people are here, we have a grass field. You know what I mean? We have a tradition of success. A great business school, which was a lot of times one of the huge selling points. Exercise science department that's just redone all of its facilities. So brand new locker rooms, some things that have been a long time coming. But at the end of the day, this is a place where when you come here, you end up falling in love with the land. I mean, it's just the mountains are massive, and you're in the middle of them versus being separated from them in a place like Denver or closer to Salt Lake City, where the mountains are kind of right behind you. So yeah, I mean that's a lot of it.
Okay. Well, let's rewind and take us back to October. You're in the heart of that tough RMAC schedule. Kind of walk me
Yeah,
through what a week's going to look like for a player in terms of when is training and classes and meals and game schedule and
gotcha.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first year that we've kind of been able to do a little bit of a hybrid in terms of time of training sessions. I mean, normally, you have either a Thursday, Sunday game rhythm or a Friday, Sunday game rhythm. So a lot of times, maybe a Monday is going to be your day off. Um, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we train from 8 to 9:30, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if you did have training on those days, it was 4:30 to 6. And at the end of the day, we absolutely loved the morning training sessions. I think it helped us a bunch. Even if we played on a Thursday, if we played that night, we could get the kids in the morning, and whether it was set pieces or whether it was some tactical pieces that we needed to address in terms of pressing or building, it worked really well for us to have that Thursday morning training session, and then you lift twice a week inside of the the week too. So during season, you're training 3 to 4 days depending on the game rhythm, and lifting twice a week as well.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the team. We talked about the recruiting side, but in terms of the players you're bringing in, roster numbers, is there a roster size you feel is ideal that you try to hit each year?
Yeah, I mean, you look at most people and they're on 30 to 31, 32. We're a bit big right now. I think this year we'll end up at 33, maybe even 34 if we get the next kid that comes here on Tuesday. But ideally 27, 28 is a number that I think you can manage well if the classes are separated in a pretty decent way. Sometimes it can fall weird to where you have massive classes, and we're going to have interest. Like, we graduate 9 kids this next year, so we've got 9 seniors. It'll get us back to being able to manage that 27 or 28 and be a little bit closer to that. I think that the COVID bottleneck sort of set that up for us. But yeah, I'd like to have 27. I think that's going to be the number if I can do it.
Okay. Well, besides players on a roster, there's staff on a roster. So,
Yeah.
how big is your staff? What role does everybody play? What other
Yeah.
support staff maybe are there to help?
I'm super fortunate. I mean, my assistant was with me before I left and went to Midwestern and came back. So I've had, I guess now she's actually the associate head coach, but Hope, I shoot, this is our 13th year of coaching together and at 2 different schools. So, she is probably, I would say, as good as most head coaches, if not better than sometimes even me. And then Haley Halinga is our goalkeeper coach. She's actually a kid that played for us here, and she holds all the scoring records. She's also the goalkeeper. She's a forward, but she'll beat you at ping pong, beat you at darts. She's a better goalkeeper than all the other goalkeepers in the conference. So she honestly she became the goalkeeper coach and has done a great job of helping us out there. Um, we're I think the whole athletic department's really fortunate. We have a sports psychologist, really a counselor inside the athletic department that deals with well, any sort of mental health, whether it's whether it's playing and actually the psychology of sport, or whether it's things that I think at the end of the day that the mental health aspect is more important than sports psychology. You're not going to play well if you're not happy in your personal life. So we've got a great staff. I mean, we also have someone on staff that, oh, she probably does 8 to 9 in-person sessions with us, and really more on the mental health side than really the sports psychology side. She's another kid that actually played here for us and got a counseling degree, but is also she works with quite a few teams. Works with New Mexico United in Albuquerque, and is able to spend a couple of weeks here every year as well, just putting tools in our kids' toolbox to try and deal with the stress of being a college athlete. So great support staff, in my opinion, for the level that we're at.
Yeah, it sounds like it for sure. Well, to train the guns on you now, how would you describe kind of your style of coaching and the style of play you're looking to implement there?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm always learning. I mean, I think we started as a team that was, or as a coach that was very, very just interested in keeping the ball. And uh, over the years, I think moved to Texas, things were a lot more direct and just a little bit more athletic, a little bit nastier in a certain sense. So went there and had to change the way that we played to become successful. And I think have come back and gotten back to being a team that wants to play through the lines. And yeah, are we going to skip a line to get in behind you? Yeah, yeah, of course. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think we're trying to get the sixes turned around facing forward. Next step is getting the 10, facing forward, and then runs from there. So a lot of our possession is definitely pretty deep in our own half until we find ways to spring ourselves in and behind people. Um, so I think as a whole, we're a team that's going to draw pressure and break pressure and find ways to get in behind you purposely.
Okay, love it. Well, I appreciate all the insights. I got one last
Yeah,
question for you with all your years of experience. So if you could boil it down, if I put a gun to your head and said, give me one nugget, one piece of information you think that all high school or any could be transfer students, anybody going through this college recruiting process, if there's one thing they should know, what do you think that should be?
man, this should be the 4 best years of your life, and or at least some of them. And man, choose it by location. Be somewhere you want to be. And I think most of the time, if you're somewhere where you want to be, you'll end up walking away from the experience being pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. Well, Coach, really appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck, and
Thank you, Matt.
hopefully we'll see you guys hanging an RMAC banner here soon. All right.
There we go.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, man. Bye bye.
Hi, everybody. It's Matt from Discover College Soccer. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, whether that's on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I also wanted to let you know about the Discover College Soccer Study Table. This is our brand new online portal that is complete with a 14-part online course giving you all of the ins and outs of the college soccer recruiting process. There's also a wealth of resources such as checklists, templates. There's the spreadsheets that have every soccer program in the country along with their coaches, their contact information, their social media information, some basic stats about the school, and more. Plus, there's an online community where you can ask your questions, share your wins, your losses, any questions that you may have around the college soccer recruiting process. It's all there at the Discover College Soccer study table that you can find at discovercollegesoccer.com/study table, and hopefully we will see you there.